Satsangatve nissangatvam. Satsangatve nissangatvam. Nissangatve nirmohitvam. Nirmohitvam nishchalatvam. Nishchalatatve jivan mukti. Let me say it one more time, then we'll read the meaning. Satsangatve nissangatvam. Nissangatve nirmohitvam. Nirmohitvam nishchalatvam. Nishchalatatve jivan mukti. Adi Shankaracharya says, from satsang comes detachment, nirmoha. From detachment comes freedom from delusion. Delusion is confusion. Delusion is not having clarity, not knowing truth from untruth, not having viveka. From freedom from delusion comes abidance in the truth. If we don't have delusion, only then we can be reposed in the truth that we are talking about. Satsang is supposed to be the highest level of dialogue between jivas like us. So he says from delusion comes abidance in the truth. What is abidance? Abidance is staying with something that I completely believe in, that I don't leave it. I don't go in and out, I abide in it. I firmly have faith in it. Just not trusting, faith, having faith. And he says from that kind of faith, from abidance in truth, when I really begin to know the truth, comes liberation. Then I get moksha. Then I get liberated. And liberation only means one thing: to be beyond the cycle of life and death, and life and death, and life and death, life and death. Innumerable times, millions of times we've been born. Whether we believe in reincarnation or not, I have been born many, many, many times. That's why I have a particular nature. Every individual out of the 8 billion people have a very peculiar swabhava, which does not match with anybody 100%. It could be very close to many other people. It could be very similar in certain traits with my kith and kin, and yet it is different. So, satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohitvam, nirmohitvam nishchalatatvam, nishchalatatve jivan mukti. Adi Shankaracharya. So, satsang is a classic tool, instrument for mortals like us. Because we are in and out, in and out, in and out. I'm consumed by my world every day the moment I wake up. And therefore, this kind of satsang, a noble dialogue, reminds me of what I'm supposed to focus on. And it helps me to reduce my very strong attachment to worldly things, to the objects. Having said that, now let's come to the subject I was sent. Topic requested to talk about, to have satsang on, was this. Jnana Marg mein dukh bandhan mit jata hai. Jnana Marg mein dukh bandhan mit jata hai और स्वरूप में स्थिति हो जाती है. ज्ञान मार्ग में बंधन दुख मिट जाता है और स्वरूप में स्थिति हो जाती है, पर मिलता कुछ नहीं. परंतु बट भक्ति मार्ग में प्रतिक्षण, एवरी मोमेंट, वर्धमान, एवर इंक्रीजिंग प्रेम मिलता है. So let me say this in English for those who may have logged in, I don't know, and may not know Hindi that well. Jnana Marg takes me beyond grief. Jnana Marg takes me beyond grief, which in Sanskrit we would call dukkha, and bondage, no attachment. It takes me beyond that, Jnana Marg. and I merge with the self. The ultimate step that we should all be striving for is that. So he says, the topic says, Jnana Marga takes me beyond grief and bondage, and I merge with the self. But I don't get anything. But Bhakti Marga gives me increasing love. Vardhaman prem milta hai, increasing love. Now look at this. This is exactly what our problem in life is. We don't have the clarity. Look at the quote, whosoever's quote it is, with due respect to whosoever's quote it is, no problems at all. But look at the paradoxical antithesis. What the quote says is actually absolutely opposite of what it is supposed to be. So let's read it again and absorb this meaning, because this is exactly what happens with me in my life. When I say me, I mean all of us. With me in my life is that I'm not clear. I don't have the viveka. I don't have the discrimination to know the truth from untruth. And here it says, Jnana Marg takes me beyond bandhan, takes me beyond bondage, takes me beyond my grief, and makes me merge with the self. Gives me freedom from grief, gives me freedom from bondage, and makes me merge with the self. Jnana Marg gives me that. But then it says, look at the paradoxical statement, but I get nothing. But I don't get anything. What else do you want? What else do we want? That is the clarity we are supposed to have, that I am so attached to objects. That, therefore, I say Bhakti Marga gives me ever-increasing love. But my love is only defined by my objects. My partner, my children, my parents, my kith and kin. And not that everybody loves you. You don't love some of your kith and kin. You probably have the most vehement opposition of our opinion or agenda with the kith and kin. And we are not clear. We are saying Jnana Marg gives me all this, but doesn't give me anything. What else do you want? What do we really want? We want permanent happiness. Permanent happiness means liberation. Permanent happiness means being beyond bondage. And we forget that. That's why we are saying, but Bhakti Marga gives me ever-increasing love. Bhakti Marga should be directed towards my Ishtadevata, my understanding of this. Then I become a true Bhakta. And when I become a true Bhakta, I become knowledgeable. Bhakti Marga, as Ramana Maharshi said, Bhakti is Jnana Mata. These are Ramana Maharshi's words. If we are a true Bhakta, Jnana will come to us. Knowledge will dawn on us, but even my Bhakti is contaminated. What do I mean by that? What is Bandhu trying to say? My Bhakti is contaminated? No, I bowed, I took flowers, and I went to the temple early morning. I took a bath. I mean, everything that is righteous and ritualistically proper, I did. And I say I'm a very good bhakta. And I even donated some money there. Then why is it contaminated? Because that is not the only thing I'm doing, number one. I'm doing that because most of the people, and that's another big error, people who are onto this kind of clarity that we all are seeking and are engaging in this kind of purity of practice, which is called satsang, we shouldn't be asking for anything. There's nothing to be asked for. We have already been given so much by the same Lord, the same consciousness, same awareness. So last time there was a question, is awareness, consciousness, realization, heart, self, heaven, swarga, jannat, are same words. Yes, they're all same words. As I said in that audio, it depends upon my own clarity and I choose a word, which is fine. So when we worship, we shouldn't be asking for anything. We should rather be thankful for all the things you have already given me, Lord. You have given me a lot. You have given me a body. You have given me speech. You have given me eyesight. You have given me karna. You have given me everything. You have given me a house, a business, money, children, everything that I should not be having. You have given me. I'm happy with it because I don't have the clarity. The clarity is that I do not need anything other than awareness, other than liberty, other than being beyond bondage. I don't need anything. So the topic, since Nabina, you just joined, I'm going to repeat what we are talking about. We first started with a shloka written by Adi Shankaracharya. By the way, I just want to say one word personally. Nabina was the first person in Nepal to organize Bandhu Satsang in Pokhara. And I will always remain thankful to her for as long as this body is alive. She did organize a couple of satsangs. So, Nabina, we started with Adi Shankaracharya's shloka about bondage and about satsang, why satsang is so important. And then we went on to talk about the quote. It was requested that we talk about this quote, and the quote says, ज्ञान मार्ग में दुख बंधन मिट जाता है और स्वरूप में स्थिति हो जाती है, पर मिलता कुछ नहीं, परंतु भक्ति मार्ग में प्रतिक्षण वर्धमान प्रेम मिलता है. So the point this subject is making is a very paradoxical thing, and this is exactly what we need to be clear about, that if I get freedom from bondage, if I get freedom from grief, and if I can be Swarup mein main sthit ho jaun, if I become reposed, if I become the self, is there anything else I would need? There'll be no desire. We will not be merged with the self as long as I have a desire to have this or that. Oh, the new iPhone, the new laptop, the new camera, the new place I want to go to, I have to see that waterfall, or have you been to the Alps in Switzerland? All those are objects, be clear about it. And I should be withdrawing from all that at the right time. Nothing by force will emerge as my practice. It will only emerge when I truly become a bhakta. So, for a bhakta, everlasting love is only when he is a true bhakta. Then the bhakti becomes jnana. As Ramana Maharshi said, and I'm repeating a few things for Nabina, Ramana Maharshi said very clearly, bhakti is jnana mata, is the mother of jnana, if our bhakti is absolutely pure. So this topic is very good, but this topic does not give me the ultimate clarity, because after saying Jnana Marg gives me all this, but it doesn't give me anything. An antithesis. The statement is an antithesis into itself. It's like saying, many people say, even in other satsangs, I was listening to one of the old satsangs that we were editing, thanks to Sujitji. And there's a devotee who's saying, if you're talking about how ego obstructs my clarity, my own ego creates the obfuscation, the cloudiness, the nebulousness, the confusion about what should I be seeking. And my mind is my ego. We were talking about all that. My mind is my ego, and I should be focusing on going beyond the mind and controlling the mind. And the person said, but my ego is important for me. Until the time I decide to pursue self-realization, I need my ego. Look at the paradoxical statement there. Unless I decide, try. Your ego is so attached, our ego is so attached to us. Like the gum of the tree, like a resin on the tree. You know how sticky that is? Gum tree, right? How can you say, okay, today onwards, oh, next Thursday evening at 5 o'clock, I'll stop using my ego and I'll pursue the path of self-realization? Mistake not. It's not going to happen like that. Your ego is going to continue with you even when you, if we are lucky enough, blessed enough to have absolute clarity, to become an absolutely unalloyed, uncontaminated bhakta, and we begin to merge with that feeling of self-realization, and we begin to really see the world as absolutely ashashvata, unreal, ephemeral, then even my worldly life linked to this body will continue. I will still go and open my shop if I have a business, or I'll still conduct the operations of my company if I'm a CEO of a large international global conglomerate. I will still do that. It will continue. My life will continue as a parent, as a brother, as a husband, as a wife, as this and that, and brother and sister, business partner, enemies. Everything will continue. But I'll have the clarity to see everything as a play of my own life, which is not this body. That will be the clarity I will have. And that is what I am seeking, but I'm yet not clear. That's why I keep thinking that, okay, what will I get? There's another example I want to quote, because in these examples, we can learn and remember, because our mind is limited. A gentleman used to come to the ashram, and very infrequently, and he used to be a manager of some company, and he would come in the evening. We will listen to the Ved Parayan that Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi used to listen to, and then after the Ved Parayan, he'll spend some time, and then he would say, Bandhuji, I have some questions, and he would ask me questions, and he would do that every few months. He'll come and he'll ask direct questions. What does this mean? What does this mean? Blah, blah, blah. All worldly questions, basically. He would think it's spiritual, but they all. And one day I told him that it'll be good if you write down the answers, because your questions are basically the repeat of what we have already talked about. So he said, no, I have to ask these questions. I said, there's no point discussing this again and again. We have to get beyond questions. And I was trying to give him and he said, you think I'm going to drive all this distance? Drive for 2 hours, come here, not ask you any questions? So expectation was that I must ask something now that I've come here, because now I've become spiritual. So I hope this is making some sense. I hope it is. So let's be clear about it, that we are not seeking more objects. We should not be going to the temple to get richer. We should not be going to the ashram to say, and most people do that. And I'm talking about devotees that I've seen for years. Devotees who think that they are into vicharamarg. And they come and do a big puja, call even a priest from some other place in the ashram. I'm talking about one of the ashrams. And, oh, my daughter is now competing for medical admission into such and such college, and I want her to get to that particular college. So we are doing this puja for 1 hour, 2 hours, and this and that. What a fallacy. What a confusion. You know, it's a pitiable way of looking at my life and saying, I'm going to ask God to give my child this. Okay, so you are increasing your attachments. You're already attached to your child. On top of that, you want your child to have a good spouse, the bridegroom. You know how much we think about? We should not be. That is going towards releasing myself from bandhan. The bondage that I'm born with are innumerable. My bondage to my looks, my bondage to where I was born, my bondage to if I'm close to my parents, or my dharma, my religion, bondage to a lot of things. I don't have to create the list for you. It's already in your mind. Just think of it. jealousy, money, hatred, anger, pleasure, this and that, all is leading me towards more bondage. And I'm supposed to be going in the opposite direction. No, 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 no. I'm not in this group. I'm in the wrong group. I'm in the liberation group. If I'm in the liberation group, I have to walk away from the world. And I don't do that. And I think I'm spiritual. So this topic, this quote that was said, with due respect to that, yes. And there was a lovely quote, came up for just 1 second the other day, and was gone from the side. I don't know who posted it, but I was lucky enough. I'm very quick at looking at my messages and all that, try and be in the present moment. If I'm here, if the phone rings, I pick it up and answer. And I quickly read that. And I couldn't read the whole quote, but I could read the name Ram Surat Kumar. He was a saint who lived in Tiruvannamalai, the same town where Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi lived all his life, 54 years, not all his life, first 16 years. He was in his hometown of, what was the name of the Madurai, in uncle's house. But prior to Madurai, he was in that small town. It always skips my mind where he was born. Tiruchuli. He was in Tiruchuli, then he lives in Madurai, and from Madurai, then he comes to Tiruvannamalai, where Arunachala is situated, and never left that town. Ram Surat Kumar was a sage, a very nice, I met him. I had the privilege of meeting him briefly. We didn't talk at all. And I never go to any other saints, but twice in all these years of my going to Arunachala, only twice I've gone to see some of the saints, both on requests by other devotees to take a look and give feedback on. So Ram Surat Kumar, he used to smoke a bidi all the time. And he had a big gathering. It became popular in the few later years. Good saint. And it said something, but I couldn't read the whole quote. But I think if I remember, I made a note. Again, okay, here. I made a quick note of what I could catch. And let me see if I can pull it up. And I wanted to talk about that because that also alludes to, I don't know where it is. Bear with me. 5 more seconds. Yes, something about what is right or wrong, if someone is saying something right or wrong, something like that. His answer is very good. He says, it is the separateness. You think you are different from that person. I think Narayanji is different from me. Why? Because I'm attached to, Bandhu is attached to his body. This is Bandhu. And anybody else that I see is not Bandhu. And Ram Surat Kumar, I don't have the exact quote as I said, but he says, remove that separation. There's no difference between you and anybody. That's why Advaita Vedanta tells you that you are exactly the same that you dislike. What you are trying to settle a score with, or you say sometimes, oh, I'll take care of him, I'll take care of that, I'll do that, next time I will not. All that is you. Because all those experiences, and listen to this carefully, please, all the experiences that I go through in my life, especially the unpleasant ones, because I remember my unpleasant things for a longer period of time. Until I'm a true bhakta, I'll remember that for a long period of time. All those are because I did something very similar to someone else in some other life. I'm only seeing one life, but I'm not a product of just one life. I'm a product of innumerable lives before this, which gave me agami karmas, which became my sanchit karma, which became my prarabdha. So prarabdha is the fruition of those karmas sanchit, that have come to fruition, they have ripened enough. This is the Karma Yoga. Those actions which I've taken in previous existences, not always as a human being, they have come to fruition. They have ripened now. वो पक्व हो गए हैं. And therefore, events of my life, why did I get born to such and such parents? I did choose them. I don't think I chose. I do choose them. We will talk about that some other day. I choose everything. I chose every moment of this life, but that's a concept which is yet different. So let's just say with this, I didn't choose my parents. I didn't choose my brothers and sisters. I didn't choose my education. I didn't choose my language, my religion. It was given unto me by sanskar, by surroundings. My parents believed in something, so I believe in that. So the point Bandhu is trying to make is that everything that happens to me, especially the untoward things, when I lose or when I'm fired from a job or I've lost in business or my business partner cheats me or my spouse leaves me or my child does not do exactly what I expect him or her to do. And that's a big bondage. We should relieve ourselves and relieve our children from. We shouldn't have big expectations that my son must become a doctor, my daughter will become a lawyer. Drop those. If we can do that, that's the practice, spiritual practice we can engage in. So the point that Ram Surat Kumar made, excellent point, was do not separate yourself. Something happens, first say, I must have done something similar to somebody. Look at the power of that thought. Practice it. Bandhu only speaks from experience. Then say to yourself, I must have done something like this. Otherwise, why would God put me through this experience? He wants me to reflect upon myself. I'm only seeing my face in the mirror and admiring myself. My narcissistic attachment is so deep. I love my body. Unless I have some, most of that. These are general statements. And I need to look beyond my face. Drikadrishya Viveka. When will it start? To give you an example of that, do my eyes see anything? My eyes don't see anything. It's just like a lens of a camera. My eye sees Arunachala behind Bandhu in this image, or Sujitji sitting there, but actually the eye doesn't see that. Eye only takes that image and my mind says, hey, Bandhu, that's Arunachala. Because I have the prior knowledge of that. Oh, that is Narayanji sitting there. Oh, Dilliji is there. What determines that? The mind determines that. And I should be cognizant of that fact that I don't have the real knowledge of what is being seen and who is visualizing what is being seen and who is defining what I'm seeing. I don't spend even a moment of my life in that. Let us start from today to see that I don't see anything. My mind interprets, and my mind is the evil. My mind is the enemy. My mind is the problem. Nothing else. One more verse I'm going to take about this topic that was sent. Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi said, because this topic is a paradoxical quote. Whosoever wrote it, with due respect to them, I don't know whose quote it is, but from wherever it came, it said, Jnana gives me this and that, but doesn't give me anything. How can it give you liberation from bondage and merging with the self, which you say nothing? That is the ultimate. But because it is not an object, it is not a laptop, it's not a camera, I don't see that as a benefit. That is the biggest wealth. What else do you want? Jnana Marg मुझको बंधन से मुक्ति देता है, दुख से मुझे हटा देता है, मुझे और स्व में स्थित कर देता है. उससे मुझे और क्या चाहिए? What else do I want? Do I want anything? I don't want objects. Then I begin to dislike objects. Then I don't buy a ticket to go to such and such place because Oh no, my friend told me, oh, what a lovely town that is. Man, you should see Manhattan. Oh, oh, all that you say I don't need to go anywhere. I've seen enough in my previous births. So here's a beautiful verse. And I know some of you have some exposure to Updesh and some of you may not. But I'm going to quote here verse number 27. It's a very exalted verse. He says, Jnana varjita, jnana hina chitta, kya jnanamastikim gyatu mantaram. Jnana varjita, jnana hina chitta, jnanamastikim gyatu mantaram. Is there anything else to be known? Listen carefully. This is Ramana's words. Ramana Maharshi is saying, is there anything else to be known other than being free from knowledge of objects? Other than being free from knowledge of objects and free from ignorance of awareness. Ignorance of awareness is ignorance of oneself, the real self. So I'm ignorant of the awareness. I don't even know what awareness is. I've seen many, many people saying and talking, especially when they start living abroad, and they come from this kind of a background of culture, Eastern background. And I've seen them talking to Westerners and say, yeah, I understand moksha. Yeah, I know. Yeah, meditation we do from... You're falsifying your own knowledge. You don't even have the knowledge of awareness. So Bhagavan is saying, Jnana varjita, jnana hina chitta, jnana mastikam gyatu mantra. Is there anything else to be known? There's nothing else to be known other than awareness. So this Jnana Marga takes me beyond grief, beyond bondage, and I merge with the self. Stop. Then stop and delete the other part of that. And just make that your mantra. That Jnana Marga will give me. Nothing else is going to give us happiness. And happiness is ananda. Happiness is not joy. It's not pleasure, which I get with objects. Having said all that, I'm going to let anybody participate and give you time. I hope this made some sense with Bandhu's limited clarity. He tried to put it in words. And very nice to see all of you. Thank you for spending your time. Very happy. Diliji is here. Everybody's here. Nabina is here. Naranji is here. And Yuvraj ji is here. Good. Sujit and Kushbu and everybody. Thank you. Did this make any sense?
Hey, thank you, Bandhaji. Thank you. It's a very interesting, interesting satsang regarding this the Gyan Marga text. Gives everything, but we get nothing. This is exactly what we can we can learn. Gives everything, but get nothing. It's, everything is when you are free of dukkha, bandhan, and everything. You are free of that, but it's still you wincing that you have got nothing. Right? Probably, in a sense, let's. This is because we have to see in the other part of the people, what they think. When Bhakti Marg.
Can I stop you for a moment there? Before you go
Sure.
When you say nothing, what does nothing mean? You said, but we get nothing, right? What does nothing mean?
Yeah, I mean, nothing means this is also this is also the good question. When we are confusing between confusion and what we call asakta.
Okay.
Sometimes we said asakta, but sometimes it is also confusion. It cannot be asakta,
Well, I think
it's a confusing, confusing things like it's we don't say nothing. It's confusing that it's nothing,
I understand, but here's the way to look at it.
Yeah.
That I have confusion only because I don't have the clarity, and my confusion tells me that my confusion is okay. Rather than telling me my clarity needs to be clearer. And this
I mean,
is how,
yeah, okay, I understand now. I mean, like
yeah,
it
this
can
is
be
how it,
other people can say it, other people can say, and they are confused and they said it's nothing because exactly they are not in a clarity.
yeah, because the mind, we are talking about everybody's mind. We are not talking about those individuals who are confused. We are not blaming them because we all are confused. Unless we were confused, we wouldn't be dialoguing with each other. We would be then quiet like Ramana Maharshi. And he yet dialogued with people. Why? Because he was a Jivan Mukta. He was, in Sahaj Samadhi all the time. And he demonstrated that you have to be part of the world and yet be beyond the world like he was. And so this confusion, which we are giving, let's not give weightage to it. Let's not make our confusion stronger. Let's diminish that. Let's dwarf it. Let's mitigate it. Let's diminish it. Let's chisel it. Let's wane it. Let's scrub off of that. Then only we would then only we can begin to be away from it. And that much volition, that much free will I do have. I can't do that.
Okay, okay, Bandhuji, let's think about on that way. Confusion means like you are in the middle of nowhere. After that, after the whole Gyan Marga, and you are coming at the end, nothing, nowhere. That means still you are in nowhere. You feel like you are nowhere, right?
Nowhere,
It's nothing
nowhere.
means nowhere. Like I mean, okay, mukta, all this bondage gone, this and that, but still at the end, you think you are nowhere, because you are still confusing. Imagine that way, in a Gyan Marga. Then when you come to the Bhakti Marga, for example, the highest, example of the Bhakti Marga is Krishna.
Yeah, sure.
Krishna, all the Bhakti, all the Krishna Lila and all these things. And they
Right.
talk about the life, Ras Lila.
Yeah.
Prem, Ras Lila means they are like, they're, because in what we think like, they think like, okay, in Gyan Marga, is everything is objects are consuming. They're just consuming. They are not entertaining, they are just consuming, part of consumption of the life. But while you're in a Bhakti Marga, everything, when you are in a full, Bhakti, then you feel like, wow, you get all this, everything is a Lila, Ras Lila. I'm just, not consuming, I'm entertaining on these things, So it's like a Lila, Ras Lila. And there is a consumption only on the Gyan Marga. This consumption, they are nothing. We just consumed. But over here, they think, oh, this is a Ras. Bhakti is a Ras.
Okay, so
and you,
okay, I got your point. The
yeah,
point
so
is,
it's between the consumption and Ras.
so this is the way to understand it.
Yes, yes.
Vichar and these are again Ramana Maharshi's words, is not for everybody.
Yes,
it is only for those who have a very strong desire for liberation. So these are the stages. I become a bhakta. Therefore, and because I'm a bhakta and I see my parents, if my parents were religious, and then I become religious and I start worshipping something. And then when my spirituality, my seed of spirituality begins to sprout, then I get beyond religion. Then I don't worry about being called a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindu or a Zoroastrian or a Jain. I don't worry about those things. I don't identify myself with a religion. And I don't identify myself with things that defined me in the past. My degree, my qualification, my parents, how people say, I come from a very noble family. 3 of my uncles were doctors and 2 of my aunts were lawyers. All that is frivolous. All that is worldly. So Jnana Marga is the final Marga. It's like going to the Anandamayi Kosh. Pranamaya Kosh is my body. Anandamayi Kosh takes me to self-realization. So Vichar Marga is the ultimate process or path. You shouldn't call it a process, it's a path. That's why Shiva is called Margabandhu. So, yes, Krishna and Vishnu also know that out of all the existences, especially of human beings, because we have the intellect, which the animals don't have. We have the reasoning power that the animals don't have. And that's why we can seek liberation. They are already programmed. They don't even have a menu of their food or taste. They get what they get and they eat it, and they don't even know anything. So when I think that Bhakti Marg gives me that, then that's fine. Yes, we should continue with that until the day my clarity opens up that I don't even need to go to a temple. Don't need to say, as I gave an example, a saint once initiated this body, and I'm a staunch Ramana Bhakta. And this saint was a saint of his own, not a Maharishi. He was not a Maharshi, but he was a saint, a regular saint that you see. An initiation, and for whatever circumstances, I also sat in the initiation. But I told myself this initiation has nothing to do with this initiation. It's only a physicality of an activity, a ritualistic practice. I'm beyond that. And I kept thinking of only Arunachala throughout. That was 1 hour ritual that we did. And it didn't faze me. And I said, no problems. I'm just going to think of Arunachala and chant my own mantras and all that. And I did that. So I get beyond a certain stage, then I'm beyond Bhakti Marg. But until that stage, I would continue with whatever my life is, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. That's why Arthur Osborne, he made a very good statement. Arthur Osborne was one of the devotees who was a British Army civilian, and he had begun to reside at Tiruvannamalai at Arunachal Ashram, and he had read only about Ramana Maharshi. He had not seen him. He had not come to India, and he was in Hong Kong, I think, at that time, Second World War. And he was asked to go to the front line, where family could not go with him. And he had a wife and 3 children. He had a Polish wife and 3 kids. And he was so mesmerized by Ramana Maharshi's life and things he had read. And he told his wife that I have to go back to the border. You cannot go with me. But here is a place in India. And listen, they had never been to India. And he says, you go, and there is a saint, Ramana Maharshi. Go and stay with him. And then somebody arranged a room for them, which eventually didn't work out. But they came and they started living in the ashram. Till date, Arthur Osborne's granddaughter lives in Tiruvannamalai. That's faith. Because he was born with that maturedness, that preparedness from previous births, that he read about this saint one time, Maharshi, and was consumed by it. Like Bhagwan has said, bhakti, devotees who are bhaktas have 3 categories. Either they're like damp wood. Even when you light fire, it won't catch fire easily. Or they are dried wood, absolutely dry. At the moment a little bit of fire comes next to it, it catches fire and burns off. No traces left. And third level is gunpowder. He explodes with faith. He emerges and is gone. So those are also very good questions. That, yes, until I have to practice bhakti, that's fine. And bhakti gives me something and I'm happy about it, that's fine. But then I must have the clarity that I've not reached the point where I don't want anything. मुझे कोई कुछ देता है तो मैं कहता हूँ मुझे कुछ नहीं चाहिए, मैं आपको देता हूँ कुछ. Let me give you.
Bandhuji, let's, I think let's give some example of the water. Okay, the water does not have any taste.
Okay.
Water does not have taste. It's very pure, does not have taste. And when you go to the true self, it doesn't have taste. It's like a pure water. Let's give some example. We're just comparing that way.
Okay, yeah.
But and in a bhakti, and then the water is pure and is a very crystal clear, pure, does not have a taste, anything. And okay, I keep some sugar and some color, and then I start drinking it. But I don't have idea, what it comes from. I just consume the sugar and the color of the water, and I say, let's say it's a Coca-Cola. But at the end, when you consume and you think, well, what is it comes from? The base is the water. Original base is the water. After water, it mixes this and that and become drinks, and you consume and is a rus. But at the end, after the full bhakti, true bhakti, you will go back to the original of what you're having. Is the water.
Correct.
And
Correct.
and Gyan Marga is the same, because Gyan Marga, we know ultimate is there. Ultimate is the water. So why should we go all the way, all this sugar and all this color? If you have already there, you understand already the color of the tasteless of the water. You don't have to find out later on, right?
Yeah, it's like saying, I know that the 5 elements that the consciousness has given me are air, right? Air, earth, ether, water, and fire, right? Fire and water.
And I think they said, when Bhakti said, look, I haven't found nothing, means they haven't found the color and the sugar there. That's why they said, I don't have nothing. Over here, I have a color and sugar.
Sure.
I think only this is the difference. I don't think so any difference between these two versions, right?
Yeah, the only caveat, only caution should be that even when we think of, and this is for generality, for those who may not have the clarity, the caveat should be, the caution should be, a disclaimer should be, that even when we think that there is sugar added to it, or taste added to it, or flavor added to it, those are objects. I don't need those. That should be the clarity, that I do not need that. Pure water is the ultimate taste, the ultimate purity. To stay within that example, there's nothing else. That's why a real saint like Shankaracharya and many others that we have known, they don't have any property. Somebody had asked me, how do I know that somebody is really realized? Nowadays, a very popular Swami, nowadays, or every few years, there's a popular Swami who becomes very popular, and they have they charge a lot of money, and they're very rich. And some of them go into the jail for doing things and all that, or remain very popular for years. They are not really realized souls. They are commercial. They run a company in the name of spirituality. They're running an organization. And the day we get the clarity, then we don't seek them. We don't follow them. And if you are lucky enough to be born at a time and be connected to a Maharshi, then it'll be very good. We would have a guru in our life. And our being drawn to satsangs of Vicharamarg also indicates that I've had seeds sown for this kind of knowledge from my previous actions or my previous births. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been even thinking about it. I would be sitting gambling somewhere, or drinking somewhere, or cheating somewhere. But I'm not. I'm doing, and I was going to Arthur Osborne, and Arthur Osborne wrote one time. He started the magazine called Mountain Path, which is published from Ramashramam. And one time he wrote, the physicality of a devotee, whatever his functioning is, let's say you are a gambler or you are a businessman, but you cheat everybody and you make a lot of money, or you do clandestine deals, which many businesses do, has nothing to do with your spirituality. You could still be very spiritual. Because if you're spiritual, then you'll slowly be detached from it. Like being detached from my money is a big thing. Not all of us have it. Very few of us have it. That my pocket is open. I share my food, my time, my money, my point of view openly with you without any agenda. No expectation from you that I did so much. What did he do for me? That would be erroneous. So this is what Vicharamarg is. So thanks a lot, everybody. I think unless there is any other thing to be clarified, we can wrap this up. Very nice to see everybody. Thanks for your time. Naranji.
Thank you so much, Banduji. Thank you so much. It's very good clarity today about between the bhakti and Gyan. I hope I've enjoyed this satsang. I'm enjoyed very much. Good clarity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, let us know wherever next you want to connect. Give me 1 minute and we will just end and Antaryascha bahirvidhutatimiram Jyotirmayam shashvatam Sthanam prapya virajate vinamatam Ajnanamunmulayan Pashyan vishwamapi damulla Vishwasya pare paraha Tasmai Sri Ramanaya Loka Gurave Shokasya Hantre Namaha Tasmai Shri Ramanaya Loka Gurave Shokasya Hantre Namaha. Hari Om and Arunachala.
Arunachala.